As the spring portal gets ready to open tomorrow, a few Auburn Tigers are getting ahead of the game.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie 5.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie 5, and we are ready to get after it. Happy Tuesday, day before the spring portal. The spring portal period opens tomorrow. It's going to be fast and furious. April 16th through Friday, April 25th. So you're talking 9-10 days, and it'll be action-packed. And there's a couple of Auburn Tigers that are not a couple. There's several that are getting ahead of the game and go ahead and letting their intentions be known that they plan to look elsewhere in this spring portal period. And some of it's understandable. And we'll talk about all that and the numbers game that Auburn's going to have to play and play it quickly over the next 10 days. But before we do that, we got to give a quick shout out to Uncle Keith's Red Sauce. Go to UncleKeith'sRedSauce.com. Use coupon code TheBarn25 to take 25% off. If you live near a Publix in the state of Alabama, you can try this stuff. I've seen people that send me messages that are finally finding it and you're falling in love with it. If you don't live near a Publix or a Piggly Wiggly, you can get it online at the UncleKeith'sRedSauce.com. So if you love salsa, you want to try it with a Southern kick, give it a shot. Uncle Keith's Red Sauce. It's good, y'all. Auburn has had 3 so far defensive backs declare their intentions, or I guess I don't even know if that's the correct term. What's a good term? Let it be known. They've let it be known that they plan to enter their name into the portal when the portal period opens tomorrow. C.J. Johnson, who's a safety. J.C. Hart, cornerback. And then I believe it's Tyler Scott, maybe. No. Regardless, it's 3. It's 3 Auburn defensive backs, all planning to go into the portal here tomorrow. So we've talked about the success of that defensive back, Terrence Love. Sorry, Tyler Scott. If you plan on staying. We've talked about the success of the defensive back rooms, and we've talked about the young safeties that are getting a lot of playing time. Anquan Fagans, Eric Winters, and it's not really a shock. I mean, Terrence Love, C.J. Johnson, both safeties. And then you've even had some of the younger corners start to step up. You had the emergence of Jay Crawford last year. You got guys like Blake Woodby that's getting a lot of run, guys like Donovan Starr that are getting a lot of run. So it's no surprise to see guys like a J.C. Hart go into the portal. All 3 of these guys came in the same recruiting class. They were all part of that really quick half class in 2023, when the year right after Hugh Freeze was hired. I think, as a matter of fact, all of these guys, Terrence Love was committed prior, and maybe even J.C. Hart. C.J. Johnson was one of those late ads after Hugh Freeze got here. So, look, man, in this day and age, if you're not ready to play, and ready to play may not be the right term. If you're not playing, if you're not in the rotation after your second year, it doesn't really make sense for you to probably stay where you are anymore, unfortunately. And that is a tough game to play. That is a tough game to play for coaches. And we're going to speak to the numbers here a little bit later on in the show. But, I mean, and these guys were here 3 years. All of these 3 names were rumors back in December. There was a large number of defensive backs that I'm shocked they actually stayed through to spring, but it was almost seemingly a guarantee that eventually they would go into the portal. I mean, Auburn's safety room, even it's funny, even with these defections, your safety room is still really, really deep. I mean, let's just look at it. You have your starters. You got Caleb Harris, who's going to be here forever. He's going to be here for at least 2 more seasons. You got Sylvester Smith, who played a lot, who's going to be here. You got Eric Winters, Anquan Fagans, Tay Seymour, who's got a couple of years left. I mean, that's 5 guys right there. Not to mention Amon Lane Gaines, who's still really young, redshirting. He's had some injury issues. You got Jacquez Robinson, who's a senior, who can fill in. I mean, Kinsley Faustin, he played a little bit of corner last year. He's still listed as a safety. I mean, you got a bunch of guys, and you got a bunch of really, really good players in that room. So it makes sense for a guy like Terrence Love or CJ Johnson to want to look elsewhere. Then you look at corner, and corner may even be deeper. You got J.C. Hart leaving. I mean, you got Kayan Lee, for Champ Anthony, Jay Crawford, Blake Woodby, Ryan Strader. I mean, that's 5. That's a rotation of 5 right there. Donovan Starr. Devin Williams was a freshman that he tore his ACL, so he's out. But I mean, that's 5 or 6 guys right there that can all play. Tyler Scott, we'll see if he'll still be here. I've already put him in the portal, and he hasn't even gone in the portal. Unbelievable. It's disrespectful. I got to work on that. It just goes to continue to push the narrative or push forward the story, solidify the story that the defensive back room has been a huge, huge success. You're losing some depth, and you're losing quality depth. I have no problem saying. It's part of it. It's part of it at this point in time. What you got to do is you got to hit on your guys, and you got to keep them coming. And I think it's easy for people to say, "Oh, you just got to get them more playing time." Well, how the heck do you do that? That term or that phrase has been used a lot, and I'm just like, how the heck do you do that? How do you just get people more playing time if there's people that are better in front of them? Do you go into a game thinking, I got to have a pitch count for some of these guys so they don't leave? And then you put yourself in compromising positions? How many times have we seen like a rotation of guys and you're like, dadgummit, just put so-and-so in and let him go because he's the best on the field. He never needs to come off the field. It's so tricky. It's so tricky. Are there more portal defections to come? I don't even like that term. Are there more people to look out for, more players going in the portal? I'm sure you're going to get some more. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to mybookie.ag. Use coupon code BARN, BARN, for a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Give them $100. They're going to give you 50 back free to play with. They got every kind of sport you can imagine, every kind of line you can imagine, and every type of bet you can imagine. And if you don't like betting, you can play in the casino. They got a little bit of everything for everybody. Easy deposits, easy withdrawals. It's mybookie.ag. Take your winnings and go over to roback.com. Use coupon code BUTTON20 for 20% off your order. Polos, hoodies, quarter zips, joggers, shorts, bathing suits, swim trunks, whatever you want to call them. They got it all. Bucket hats. It's about to be bucket hat season. Give Roback a chance, and I think you'll be very, very happy. Save big. Use that coupon code. It's roback.com. We'll be back right after this. Will there be more to come? Look, remember the press conference. I'm just going to say I think Hugh told you what positions to watch in the press conference after A-Day. They asked him who or what positions would they be looking to add from the portal. And he named 4 specific positions. And the last one was, you're never going to turn down a good cover guy. Well, look, you just lose 3 defensive backs, 3 cover guys to the portal. So I'm wondering if he mentioned, pass rusher specifically. He mentioned defensive line, interior defensive line specifically. And he mentioned linebacker specifically. Usually there's a reason why, and there's a plan, or there's a method to the madness of what Hugh opens up and shares to the media. And I think, I'm not going to talk about specific names, but I think he may be foreshadowing a little bit. Are we going to lose one of our young pass rushers that has not been able to crack the rotation, and you've brought in a couple of guys from the portal, and you got a couple of other guys that are stepping up, like Amaris Williams, that's going to get way more playing time. Pass rusher, could that be a position to watch? Interior defensive line would be very shocking, because it feels like you're a little bit thin there, maybe. If you're thin anywhere, even though you're talented. But he mentioned it. It's worth noting. I'd write that one down. That might be a position to watch. I don't know who it would be. I don't even really have a good guess as to who that could possibly be. And then linebacker. That room is probably one of the more interesting rooms on the whole team, because you have a lot of really good players. You have a lot of really good talent. But they're all very, very inexperienced. So the talk has always been, and then you got a couple of guys you brought in who are studs, like Elijah Melendez and Xavier Atkins, and they're both really, really young. But there's been talk from the get-go that Auburn would look to probably bring in a little bit of an older, more experienced linebacker if they could. Hugh mentioned that verbatim. So if it just so happens to be a position ahead of some guy that's been here a couple of years, could they want to possibly look elsewhere to see if they can find a starting role? I would say any of these guys could probably find a starting role somewhere fairly easy. If they felt like they weren't going to be a starter this year, play the vast majority of the snaps this year, this is one group I think they could find spots if they needed to, because I think they're all talented players. So remember, when Hugh says something, pay attention, because more than likely he's tipping his cap a little bit, or he's giving you a little hint on what's to come. So we'll see. I would imagine today there'll probably be several more. I don't know exactly how many are going to be mega impactful, other than maybe losing what I call some foundational depth. You don't want to lose foundational depth if you can afford it. If you can avoid it, you definitely don't want to lose that. But I mean, at the end of the day, you can't get in a Nico, I'm a leaving situation either, where guys try to hold you hostage and they're not even. Now, he was a starter, but guys that maybe aren't even getting mega playing time, you can't be held hostage by guys that are reserves, so to speak. So be prepared for that. The sky's not falling. This is kind of part of the plan. So I've seen some people, what is happening to our defensive back room? I mean, have you been paying attention? It makes complete sense. It makes complete sense why this would happen. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's going to be a numbers game, okay? You lose one, you got to add one. We already had a couple of spots open that you're going to look to fill. Now you got more. So the goal in the spring portal this next 10 days is to come out at a net zero. You want to make sure you don't go in the negative as far as roster numbers going into the season. You have a select amount of spots. You drop one, you got to add one. So right off the bat, I'd look at Auburn adding at least 3 more, probably at least a couple more defensive backs. And then for every position that drops, just be ready. That's what Auburn's going to look to fill the void that was left by that player leaving. Now, this is where this is where it would be really, really tough, because you're adding folks that are leaving a situation looking for, most of the time they're looking for playing time, and you're trying to add them in to positions that aren't getting a lot of playing time. Boy, that'd be a nightmare. Other than maybe like that linebacker, there's just not a lot of playing time, starter reps to be filled. You pretty much are set with starters across the board. But after that, it's going to be, you just kind of come in and get what you get. We need you as a good backup, be ready in case of an injury, and then we'll get you some snaps here or there. And a lot of folks that are in the portal are leaving those situations already. So it'd be a nightmare. It'd be a nightmare if you're under the gun and you're trying to find X amount of players. I think you're going to see a lot of probably G5 guys. You're probably going to have to look there a good bit. Look for guys maybe looking to level up that are have a lot of production, and they want to take a step up in competition, and they may be willing to just play in a backup role this season in hopes of moving into a starter next year. But man, you just it's a tough sell. Hugh talked about the quarterback position being a tough sell. I think all these position groups are going to be a tough sell of the ones that are leaving, especially defensive backs. You're bringing in a guy. If just think about this, you're bringing in a portal guy who's not going to start. If you just talk about cornerback, you're not going to start. And then not only are you not going to start, let's say Kayan Lee goes to the NFL after this year. You got these young studs right behind you that are probably just as good as you already, that could jump you, and then you're right back in the same boat you were next year. It's going to be tough. I don't envy Will Redmond. I don't envy Hugh Freeze right here. It's going to be a stressful 10 days. So we'll see what happens. Don't freak out. It's not really that super unexpected. Auburn's going to be able to adjust, move forward. You just got to end up at net zero. You can't go in the negative. You do that and you'll be fine. We'll see what happens. It's going to be action-packed over the next 10 days, so hang in there. We're going to be adding some folks. We're going to be losing some folks, so just be prepared. So, guys, thanks for listening. If you like this video, like it. If you like this channel, subscribe to it. Don't forget to go check out mybookie.ag. Take advantage of that that 50% deposit bonus. And we'll be back again very, very soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.